Halo pemirsa, saya Luisa Kusnanda dan Anda menyaksikan 30 Minutes with His Excellency Mr. Olivier Chambard. Pemirsa, tahun 2020 menandai 70 tahun kerjasama hubungan bilateral antara Indonesia dengan Perancis. Sejak diresmikan pada September tahun 1950, hubungan kerjasama antara Indonesia dan Perancis terus meningkat di berbagai sektor. Lantas bagaimana hubungan kerjasama antara Indonesia dengan Perancis ke depannya? Lalu apa pula yang akan menjadi tantangan-tantangan ke depannya, terutama di masa pandemi ini? Sudah hadir bersama saya Duta Besar Perancis untuk Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Olivier Chambard. So, Mr. Ambassador, how are you now and are you getting used to the new normal?
Yes, I am, and I was very happy to have this new normal because when you stay confined, even if you work a lot, you want to meet people, respecting the distances, but to do your job. And being a diplomat is a job of a contact, meeting people, talking with people.
So you don't enjoy being at home, Zooming?
It was a strange feeling at first because you're missing something, but we adapt. All humans adapt. But now coming back to a almost normal work, it's quite nice.
You miss the interaction?
Yes, of course.
The real interaction. All right, so this is your second assignment in Indonesia. Your first assignment was between 1997 to the year 2000. So how are your experiences in Indonesia so far?
Well, I was in Indonesia at a very important, difficult time during the Reformasi and the Krismon. I wanted to come back because I love the country, I love the people. So coming back, people ask me what is new, it has changed a lot. For me, I'm at home. Of course, there are many changes, but the people are the same, and it's the people who make the country. The real change, which is a very happy one, is now Indonesia is fully democratic, stable, with a very dynamic economy, which was not the case when I left in 2000. So my impression is very good. Of course, we are living in difficult times with COVID, but I'm sure that Indonesia will bounce back.
So you mentioned about the people and you like the culture. What about the food? Do you like Indonesian food?
Of course. And the food that you can find not only in Jakarta, but everywhere. It's fantastic food, very subtle. The only problem is that the Indonesian cuisine is not well known enough outside of Indonesia, in Europe, for example, except in the Netherlands. It's not that frequent to find
Maybe
Indonesian
it's too spicy
for
the rest of the world, because our cuisine is very spicy. Mostly.
Yeah, but other cuisine are spicy, like the Thai cuisine, and it's well known. So I think all the Indonesian ambassadors' main task is to make this wonderful cooking more well known.
Can you name me some of your favorite Indonesian dishes?
Rendang, sop buntut, which is a bit similar like a French dish, which is
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like in French, it's called pot-au-feu, but it's basically the same principle.
As a French, I have in mind that you are a good cook. Most French can cook. Can you cook any Indonesian dishes?
I tried to cook a nasi goreng a few years back. It was not a complete success, so I have to learn again.
It's one of the easiest though.
Yes, that tells the work I have to do.
Okay, anything else that you've learned to cook so far? Or have you been cooking French food mostly at home?
Well, a mix. What I like with cooking is you can mix influences and to have your traditional French and put some Asian, some Indonesian, some Chinese, some Thai, some. That's the interest of cooking, I think.
Okay, so let's talk about the Indonesia-France economic bilateral. Could you tell us more about the relation so far?
Well, the relation globally is a very good relation. On the economic side, we have a very strong relation. We have more than 200 French companies being present in Indonesia, and all those companies put together employ more than 50,000 Indonesian workers. So it's a very solid presence, it's an ancient one, and it's a very diversified one. in renewable energy, industry, in services, insurance. So it's very diversified. Of course, we can do more, and we should do more. And that's one of my main objectives, to help the French companies to talk with Indonesian economic world, and also to have Indonesian businessmen coming to France, invest in France. It's a two-way street.
Of course, we want to do more, but taking into account our situation at the moment with the COVID pandemic, what would be your strategy in improving our economic sector?
I think the times of crisis are very important and difficult to manage, but at the same time it gives opportunity. So my advice to the French company is to be very present, to maintain the links, even if it's sometimes difficult because of the situation, and to invest in the future. I'm convinced that Indonesia will bounce back very rapidly. So it's important to stay there. So that's the message all the economic team at the embassy is giving to the French companies.
All right, we're gonna take a break. Pemirsa, 30 Minutes with His Excellency Mr. Olivier Chambard akan segera kembali sesaat lagi. Pemirsa, kembali lagi bersama saya dalam 30 Minutes with His Excellency Mr. Olivier Chambard. So, Mr. Ambassador, what do you think are some of the obstacles that you face in the economic sector?
Well, Indonesian market is not an easy market because it's a very attractive market. So you have many competitors, but it's true everywhere in the world. No market is easy. The omnibus law, which is prepared by the government, will certainly improve and ease the foreign investment, so we are counting on that. It's very important. But the main thing for the French company is to see Indonesia as a long-term market. It's not a place where you do short-term deals and then leave. You have to stay, you have to invest in the country, in the people, and being known by the people. That's really a long-term strategy.
So what do you think will be the solution to this?
Well, the solution is to be perseverant and to be present. But the good thing with the French company is they are here for, it's been a long time, and they are producing in Indonesia. It's no more deals where you arrive and you sell something and then you go elsewhere. You invest here, like Michelin, who took over Multistrada. You have Danone with Aqua. You have Engie, who's a very well-known French company in renewable energy, who's doing a power plant in Sumatra. So it's really a long-term strategy, and the French companies are really into that.
So we have also noticed that Choose France is becoming a really visible brand. Could you tell us more about this?
Well, Choose France, we felt the necessity of branding something which was happening for a long time. We want to attract, like Indonesia, foreign investment into France, and France is one of the first destinations in Europe for attracting companies, industries, and particularly in the financial sector. Since the Brexit, many banks came in France from UK. So it's an example, but Choose France is a strategy. It's not a new one because it's been decades we are doing that with success, but it was necessary to brand it more clearly for the people.
So how do you think Choose France can contribute in attracting more investment to Indonesia?
Well, all the tools for attracting investment are in Choose France. The idea is to put all the people, all the services, all the ministries, all the private individuals together in that, and then we are stronger than to act on divisive ways.
Now, taking into account this COVID-19 pandemic, how do you foresee the next few years going to happen, and how is it going to affect the investments coming into Indonesia?
Well, I don't think it will affect the long-term investments of the many companies, many French companies which are solidly implanted here. So I have no fear about that. Those companies were very careful to help their workers with all the sanitary precautions. So they are well implanted. Of course, the impact of COVID-19 is worldwide, not only in Indonesia. So some companies will have to redefine their strategies. But Indonesia is a market which is improving, the middle class is growing, so there's no choice. Indonesia is part of the future, of the commercial trade future in Asia, and we all want to be there.
But how optimistic are you that Indonesia will bounce back after this? Is it going to happen in the near future, like next year, or are we still in this for the long run?
Well, it's difficult to say. Nobody knows exactly. My only conviction is that Indonesia is very resilient. The people, the companies, very dynamic. You have a lot of e-technology, so you react very easily, and quickly. So I'm sure that in the region, Indonesia will be one of the quickest to bounce back. When? I can't tell you, sorry.
We're hopeful for
that.
that.
Nobody can.
We're going to take a break. Pemirsa, tetaplah bersama kami akan segera kembali. Pemirsa, Anda masih menyaksikan 30 Minutes with His Excellency Mr. Olivier Chambard. So, Mr. Ambassador, I heard that you can speak a bit of Indonesian too?
Sedikit. Saya sudah pernah tinggal di Jakarta 20 tahun yang lalu, tapi saya lupa sedikit dan bahasa Indonesia saya kurang bagus. Saya harus belajar. And next time we will do the interview in bahasa.
You sure about that? Your Indonesian is very good though. So did you learn this by yourself, or did you have a tutor?
No, when I was a student, I went to the School of Oriental Languages in Paris, and I learned Hindi, Urdu, and Bahasa, but just for 2 years. So when I came back here, I practiced a lot. But 20 years is a long time, so you tend to forget, and the older you get, the more difficult it is to speak. I kept a little bit of the accent, so it gives the impression that I'm speaking a good Bahasa, and then it's not the case, so people are surprised.
What's your favorite word in Bahasa then?
Well, cepat.
Cepat. Do you think Indonesians are mostly slow?
No.
Or late
cepat
even?
No, I would have said pelan-pelan, but I said cepat because I think this country is very good at putting together a way of life which is cool, but also can react very quickly. So that's a good thing, and I like it.
So cepat, yeah?
Yeah, cepat.
Cepat.
Cepat, and perhaps also pintar.
Pintar. Why pintar?
Because pintar. When I was here 20 years ago, my youngest son, he arrived at 5 months old, and he left at 3 and a half, and he spoke very good Indonesian because he spoke with all the people, the cook, and all that. And so we went in Toraja country, and there were girls who were pinching him, and he was not happy about that. And then he started to shout at them in perfect Bahasa.
Okay.
So the girls were absolutely surprised and said, "Oh, pintar." And after that, we called him pintar. So I like the word.
That's a good word. Cepat and pintar. Okay, Mr. Ambassador. So the 14th of July is Bastille Day for France, and I assume in the current situation there won't be a big celebration. So
yeah, because of the situation with the COVID-19, we decided not to host a party or celebration for the National Day. It is the case in many French embassies around the world, and in Paris the the festivities will be oriented towards a thank you to the people who helped to fight against the COVID-19. So here, nevertheless, we will try to be active on the 14th of July, and we'll have many things on the internet, on the cultural and historical music events. So I hope people will enjoy that. It's very important, but I think it would not be wise to hold a big gathering today. No,
so everything is going to be online?
Absolutely.
And what kind of things are going to be shared online?
you know, the French Institute in Jakarta, and we have several French institutes in Jakarta, in Surabaya, and Alliance Française, Medan, Bali. They will be very active and will organize debates online. We're going to have music online with French and Indonesian. We will talk about the 14th of July, the Bastille, what it means. So many things. There's a big concours with French and Indonesian students who wrote sentences to define the 14th of July. So we try to be active and to be present nevertheless.
All right. So I found that you're also able to make the perfect, help me with this, tarte tatin.
Tarte tatin, it's
tarte tatin.
Tarte tatin, it's an apple tart, which is it's a nice story because we had two sisters who were cook, and they got it wrong because the tart you cook it normally with the past and the apple, and they put it on the other reverse, upside down. And it was very good because all the juices, the sugar, and then it's one of the most fantastic tart in the world, and I love it. And you can adapt it to a more Asian flavor with tarte tatin with mangoes instead of apples, and it's very good, I can tell you.
All right, as we are in the middle of Amu's Gourmet Kitchen, could you share us some tips and tricks on how to make a perfect tarte tatin?
Well, I should be very modest because Gilles Marx, the chef, is here, so he knows far better. I think the thing, it's not a very difficult tart to make. You have to have the good apples or good mangoes, and to slice it not too thinly. It has to be relatively big chunks, and of course you have to do the pastry, which is not very difficult, but you have to learn it. And after that, you put it in the oven and you serve it with crème fraîche or with nothing, which is the best, I think.
All right, for Indonesians watching this at the moment, what French cuisine would you highly recommend to Indonesians?
It's difficult to
so
to
many.
pick.
What's your favorite dish, French dish?
Well, I like lamb, but it's a simple. I think it can be done.
But it has to be something that Indonesian can accept with our taste buds
then
too.
Pot au feu. Pot au feu, it's a sop buntut, basically, with more pieces than what is in sop buntut. I don't know the term, la queue de bœuf, but it's one of the favorite French food. So then, to start for Indonesian, they can try the pot au feu, because it will be not too far from sop buntut, but a little bit different. So it's a good start, I think.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for sharing all your thoughts and all your stories about France. And we hope that we're going to go back to the real normal soon. Terima kasih pemirsa, Anda telah menyaksikan 30 Minutes with His Excellency, Mr. Olivier Chambard. Saya BeritaSatu undur diri. Terima kasih.